Just hit close down. No scripting, we're live. That's the beauty of the Hangouts, we're always live. And I'm going to go back here. This is my first tip. So anytime when you start playing around with A360 and you get lost, when you're using new software, even web-based, you can get a little bit confused, a little bit lost. Right up here you'll notice as I drag the mouse around on top of the dashboard here, there's a mouse over, you see it change. I can click on that. That takes me back to the home page, to the dashboard, and I can see the activity, the feed, recent information, and all this information over here. And that's, so there's two panels up here, and I'm going to do this really quick because we're kind of running a little bit over, and we want to make sure we have some time for questions from you guys. So we've got the A360, the dashboard, and then search. So Scott talked about search inside the model. This is search inside the hub. So say maybe you're working with a bunch of people and they sent you this really cool file. You remember part of the name, but you can't remember everything. So you could type in, part of the name up here. I'm in the wrong demo, so this isn't going to work, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I click on it, and it will search, and it will find, oh, look, it found it. There's my house. It finds anything with that text in it within the hub that you have the rights to. So that's very cool. I'm going to go back here, and then right here, this is something new we added not too long ago. It's kind of nice. So one of the things a lot of people asked for with A360 was the ability to download multiple files. We added that in there. So if you go to a project, and we'll talk about that in a minute, and you open up the data and you want to download a folder full of that data, it will download it into a zip file. You don't want to sit around and wait for all that data to download, but you would like to know when it's done. This will give you that information. It'll have an update here. It also tells you if you're bringing things over from A360 Drive to A360 for that better experience in the model, in the viewer. And you can see that it's done, so you don't have to wait around for it. And then over here we have the alerts. This is really kind of cool because you can see what the activity is. Maybe you've invited some people to your hub and you're not sure if they've come in yet or not. You can get this information here. You can also follow people, get alerts. You can also get this tied to your email. So how many people use email to share information? Guys? So you can get this stuff in your email, and you can come up here and see it, and it'll bring them right back to A360. Then over here you can see my profile picture. And this is a little bit different than what you've seen. Any of you guys who were using our tech preview we were showing off last year, there's a new piece here called Admin. And this gives you a little bit more control over your hub. I'm just going to click on that really quick. So you've got the setup, the team members, project contributors, project content, and administrators. So you can do, if you're the administrator of the account, the IT guy, somebody like that, they can get in here and dial the site in for you. Nobody else cares about it, but he does. Trust me, he wants to have this control. And then we're going to go back here. I'm going to go click on this to take me back to the home page. Now I see my projects. I mouse over it. This shows you the list of all the projects that you have. You can pin these projects if you want to see the ones you're currently working on, unpin them when you're done. Like this here is an AU project. I'm just going to click on it. It takes me into an active project I've created. You can see the list of the people here. Again, I can see the feed. I've uploaded a few pictures of my coworkers at AU. And calendar events, things like that. I'm Mac challenged a little bit, guys. And then we can click on the data. Data is what Scott was talking about. That's where all your files are uploaded and shared. A little tip I like to give here is it's kind of like when you create the data, create a folder to put it in. Otherwise, it's like putting everything in the root of your computer. It gets hard to find it. It's difficult. If you create a folder for the information, put it in there, it makes it just a little bit easier to find it and add to it. And I can click on people. You can see all the people that are in your hub that have been invited in, or your project, sorry. And a little tip here, after a while you might get a project with a lot of people in it. It gets difficult looking through all these. You can click on a list view. It makes it just a little bit easier to see who they are and what their role is. We also have a calendar, so if you want to put some events in there and get reminders, things like that. With the calendar event, you see I have some of our activities I put in here earlier. And you can export that information. Oh, I just clicked on the wrong thing. You can export that information out to iCalendar, your Gmail, Outlook, whatever you're using. And then last but not least is the wiki. Let's see if I built a wiki on this one. I did. Okay, so one of the things I did in my last class is I showed how to see the mobile app on my iPad through my Mac. And I didn't do it a lot, so I made a wiki so I'd have a tip on how to do it quick and easy without having to get carried away in how all this information is set up. So wikis can be, the point here is wikis can be used for anything. You can use it to track your expense report from AU. You can take meeting notes. Jay up here and I, we meet every other week, and I track the information I get from him in a wiki. And with that, I'm going to go back to the hub, and then we want to switch back, guys, to the live demo. So that's a very high-level, quick overview, and we're going to take questions later at the end, so you guys can come up and ask more questions about that. And now I want to introduce the panel we have up here. See if I can get caught up here on our slides. Well, wrong way, that's fine. Thanks, Scott. A little dull. Lull in conversation. So we have three guys here today. We have Calvin and Jay and David. Calvin's from DFG, and we're going to start with Calvin, and he's going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him, and I'm going to give you a microphone. I think I'll be live.
Is it on? Yeah, we good? All right.
Okay. So go ahead and introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Calvin Domenico. I'm owner and one of the founders of DGF Technologies. We're a small 12-person.
We're not getting any.
Right into it? Better? All right. Sorry
Go.
about that, Ray. All right. My name is Calvin Domenico. I'm one of the owners and founders of DGF Technologies. We're a small prototyping engineering firm out of Boston. It's about 12 of us. We've been using A360 for about 6 months now, and it's actually been really helpful for us for a bunch of different reasons. We work with a lot of hardware startups, small groups, fast work, lots of different customers. So it's been actually a great way for keeping us organized and keeping, as it means we're getting information out to customers, sharing models, and actually converting every random file type they give us back in to simple, straightforward projects.
Great. So now I've got a couple questions for you. So what were you guys using before you started using A360? How did you share?
And the answer is, everything. It's Google Docs, email. We ran into the classic. Everyone had a copy of something that was the wrong version somewhere. Google Drive folders, Dropbox, and we had tons of customers coming at us with all of their own solutions as well. And we've just been making them contributors on projects as we've been starting, and it's been streamlining the whole process for us.
That's great. Now, how is this? So it's helped you. It's streamlined it. Do you have any tips or tricks you would share with some of these new guys out here getting started?
The one thing I'll say is, in the viewer, the file conversion feature is great. It lets you work with people who are using SolidWorks, old versions of AutoCAD. All these different formats get converted down, and since we're a Fusion shop as well, we all pull everything right in and go right to Fusion as our standard, so we're all working on the exact same set of files, the same models, so we don't have to go through and reconvert all the time.
All right. Thank you, Calvin. That's great. Now we're going to move over to Jay from BHB. A little history. Jay and I go way back. We've been working together for many years. And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Excuse me. I'm Jay Miller, CAD manager and a principal with BHB Consulting Engineers. We're a structural engineering firm in Salt Lake City. And we've been using 360 for almost a couple years now in some form.
So same question for you. What were you guys using before A360 to share and collaborate with people?
Yeah, before A360, and it's still often the case, is there's Dropbox and Box and Google Drive and emails and FTP sites and trying to keep track of it, the passwords, and it's a nightmare trying to keep track of where all the files are. So using A360, you're able to keep a version history, and it's helped us keep up to date on the files, and everybody's got the same current file. So,
and I know you guys are the engineering firm, so you kind of work a little backwards from the way a lot of people collaborate. So you're working with architects, and you're getting them to come to you. How's that working out?
Yeah, it's a little trickier on our end because people come at us with their solution, and so what we have to do is say, hey, we've got this other solution. Let's look at this. Give this a try, and for the most part, they're willing to give it a try, and they've liked what they see, especially the large model viewer, where we're able to share these large Revit models with people who may not necessarily be used to seeing these kind of things. We're used to dealing with contractors and architects who see these models all the time, but if an owner sees these things and is able to spin around and look at it themselves, they're really impressed, and it gives them a good opportunity to see the progress of their design.
And then last but not least, any tips you would share with people, anything that's helped with A360?
Yeah, one of the things that we've really liked is I'll post something and maybe make a to-do list or some questions, And once I post it, it goes to their email. A lot of times they will just reply to that email. The rest of the team gets that email and replies back. And so it's still an email chain. It's something everybody's comfortable with. But if you go onto the A360 site, that entire email chain has been logged as part of that conversation. And that documents all the decision points, which has been really handy.
And it also helps kind of drive them to the website to get used to it, because it's difficult for people to move away from what they're used to. We all fall back to what worked, right? And it takes a little while. All right, thanks, Jay. And next we will move to Richard from MIT.
All right, so I'm David from MIT. So we've been using Fusion 360, the A360 component within Fusion 360 since about February. And so we're using it in one primary way now, but then we seek to kind of evolve that over time. But we teach a class at MIT called Developing World Prosthetics. So basically we're using Fusion 360 to create a process which goes from someone's residual limb, an amputee, which is kind of what you see here in the image, to a 3D printed socket, the socket being the attachment between the person's residual limb and the prosthesis. And so it's turned out to be a really good tool for us for multiple purposes. One of the major reasons is just as a learning tool. So we get students from a variety of different levels, so everything from freshmen to seniors. And for them, it's nice to have everyone within the same project. And also, since we have some that have done CAD before and some that have never done it before, they can include the instructors and the mentors on the project, as well as some engineers from Autodesk as well, that whenever they hit some kind of pitfalls and stumbling blocks, we can kind of jump in and help. And then it keeps track of the additions that everyone has made.
So what were you guys using before you started using 360?
So like everyone else, we were using email and Dropbox and lost track of a lot of stuff. Also, everyone is kind of in the same place except for the Autodesk people, so we would use jump drives a lot and just move stuff back and forth between computers.
Now, any tips to help some of these newbies out with?
So for us, the major thing was people kind of took to it kind of naturally because we were using it within Fusion 360, and since they were already doing the CADing there anyway, it just kind of happened naturally. And plus, since it was a learning tool for them, the instructors and the people from Autodesk would help out everything in A360. And so since they had to come there to learn it anyway, we kind of forced them to come in and use it. So it happened pretty naturally because that was the best way for them to learn.
Right. All right. Thank you. And next up, we have Kyle Bernhardt, who's going to talk about something very cool.